There are moments when fear does not whisper, it shouts. It fills the room before you even open your eyes. It sits beside you at the table. It follows you into conversations. And no one else seems to notice. You try to stay composed. You smile. You function. You answer messages. But inside, something feels unstable, like the ground could shift at any moment. It's not panic exactly. It's not visible. It's just loud. Loud in your thoughts. Loud in your imagination. Loud in the what-if questions that refuse to quiet down. What if this goes wrong? What if I'm not ready? What if I lose what I've been praying to keep? Fear has a way of sounding urgent, convincing, reasonable even. And sometimes, the hardest part is that it feels justified. You tell yourself to have faith. You repeat verses you've known for years. You try to pray, but your mind keeps racing ahead of your words. If this is where you are right now, if fear feels louder than peace, stay here, not because the fear will disappear instantly, but because there is something steady that does not compete with noise. And tonight, we are not pretending the fear is small. We are simply asking, when fear speaks loud, what does God sound like? Fear does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like exhaustion, like waking up already tired, not from lack of sleep, but from carrying invisible tension, like replaying conversations in your mind, wondering if you said too much or not enough, like checking your phone more often than usual, hoping for reassurance that never quite satisfies. It can look like being surrounded by people and still feeling alone inside your own thoughts. Fear does not always scream. Sometimes it lingers. It lingers in the chest, a quiet tightness. It lingers in decisions, hesitation where confidence used to live. It lingers in prayer, words that feel heavier than before. You still believe, but belief feels more like discipline than delight. You still pray, but sometimes it feels like you are speaking into a ceiling instead of heaven. And then comes the quiet doubt you rarely admit. Why does this feel so unstable? Why do I feel so small in this moment? Why is peace so hard to access? There is a particular kind of fear that faithful people carry, the fear of not losing God, but losing control. The fear of outcomes, the fear of the unknown timing, the fear of doors that may close before you are ready. And you do not say it out loud, because you are supposed to be strong. But inside, fear has been speaking often, not always violently, but persistently. One of the hardest parts of fear is not just the noise inside you, it's the quiet from heaven. You pray for clarity and receive silence. You ask for reassurance, and nothing changes immediately. You wait for a sign, and the day continues as usual. And slowly, a subtle question begins forming. If God sees this, why does it feel so quiet? Not angry, not rebellious, just confused. We were taught that God speaks peace. But what happens when peace feels delayed? Here is what we rarely say out loud. Silence can feel like distance, and distance can feel like abandonment. But there is a difference between absence and formation. God's silence is not absence. It is often where formation happens. When fear speaks loudly, it demands reaction. But when God is quiet, He is often building something deeper than reaction. He is shaping endurance. Not the dramatic kind, the steady kind, the kind that does not panic when waves rise. You may not hear immediate answers. You may not feel instant calm. But silence does not mean God stepped away. It may mean He is teaching your heart how to stand without needing constant reassurance. Not because He is distant, but because He is forming strength that fear cannot erase. And then, in the middle of this tension, Psalm 27 does not shout over your fear. It speaks calmly. The Lord is my light and my salvation, He in whom shall I fear? Notice what it does not say. It does not say fear will never try to speak. It does not deny the presence of enemies. It does not pretend uncertainty disappears. It simply anchors identity first. The Lord is my light. Light does not argue with darkness. It simply exists. And darkness adjusts. Fear speaks in possibilities. God speaks in presence. When the wicked advance against me, even then I will be confident, not because circumstances shrink, but because something greater stands closer. Psalm 27 does not rush you out of fear. It stands beside you, inside it. It reminds you that fear may speak loudly, but it does not get the final word. God's voice is not frantic. It is not pressured. It is not defensive. It is steady. One thing I ask from the Lord, that I may dwell in his house. In other words, even if everything shifts, I remain. Even if outcomes are unclear, I remain. The psalm does not remove tension instantly. It offers something quieter, a light, a presence, a steady voice that does not compete with fear, but outlasts it. Now, slow down. Fear moves quickly. God does not. Take a breath, not a forced one, just a gentle inhale. And notice something. Fear was loud, but it is not permanent. Let your shoulders lower a little. Let your jaw unclench. Let your breathing return to its natural rhythm. You do not have to solve tomorrow tonight. You do not have to predict every outcome. Psalm 27 does not rush. It rests in this sentence. Wait for the Lord. Be strong. Take heart. Waiting is not weakness. Waiting is trust without noise. You can sit here for a moment, without fixing, without proving, without performing faith, just being. God's calm does not overwhelm you. It surrounds you quietly. The fear may still try to speak, but you do not have to answer every thought. Let some of them pass. Let this moment be enough. God is not reacting to your fear. He is steady within it. Stay here, just for a breath longer. Fear may speak again tomorrow. It might return in a meeting, in a phone call, in a quiet moment before sleep. And that does not mean you failed tonight. It simply means you are human. Psalm 27 was never written for fearless people. It was written for those who needed light in the middle of uncertainty. So if fear rises again, remember what you heard here. Not a dramatic breakthrough, not a loud promise, just a calm voice. The Lord is my light. Light does not rush, it remains. You may not feel different instantly, but something subtle has shifted. You are not fighting fear alone. You are not carrying uncertainty without presence. And when fear speaks loud again, you will know where to return. Not to noise, to calm. If this moment met you quietly, remain close. These psalms are not episodes. They are companions. One day at a time, one breath at a time. And when fear speaks again, God will not need to shout, he will still speak calm.